Dr. Anthony Fauci is reflecting on his remarkable career in a new memoir, On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service. Fauci recently sat down with CNN chief medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta and talked about his interactions with then President Trump during the COVID pandemic.
Let me recognize Dr. Tony Fauci for an update on where we stand and recommendations and guidance.
It is a name that is almost synonymous with the COVID-19 pandemic, for better or worse. But this wasn't the first time he had to face down a global pandemic.
With regard to drug development, the steps are simple, although the goal is an ominous goal.
I sat down with Dr. Anthony Fauci to talk about his new memoir, On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service, where he writes about a life and a legacy that has spanned 7 presidents and more than 50 years. Illegitimi non carborundum.
Right, which means don't let the bastards weigh you down, which is actually goes, lately that is a very relevant and appropriate saying.
When you say this phrase to yourself, are you able to not let these guys get you down?
You know, the answer is they don't get me down to the point of interfering with what my work is. But it does wear and tear on you. I mean, knowing that there are people who are just hell-bent on trying to discredit you, and they have no evidence about anything. And all you've done all your life, your professional life, for me, 54 years and almost 40 years as director, have done nothing but try to save lives.
His journey to save lives started when he attended medical school at Cornell, then made the pivotal decision to join the National Institutes of Health, where he quickly rose through the ranks and focused on infectious disease. But there came a moment, July 1981, that would change everything. He was reviewing the CDC's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, the MMWR, when he noticed a concerning spike in deaths. 26 young, otherwise healthy, gay men.
Reading that MMWR totally transformed my professional career because I made the decision right there. I said, if there's one disease that I have to study, is this disease.
HIV/AIDS became his whole life, and he was one of the first to recognize the extent of the AIDS crisis.
In some respects, we're seeing an increase in what we would call the heterosexual spread of the disease.
I don't think many people who sort of know you from COVID realize that in many ways you went through some of these same challenges before with HIV/AIDS, not just new disease, trying to find new therapeutics, but the activists. Right. What was that part of your life like?
It is as different as peanuts and watermelons. I mean, it just is very different because the activists were trying to get the attention of the authorities, the scientific authorities and the regulatory authorities, that the time-proven way of approaching the development of interventions for a new disease doesn't work well for a disease that's rapidly killing themselves and their friends and their loved ones.
The whole thing with the National Institutes of Health is they won't test any of these drugs that'll keep people alive. And I got this saying, no peptide T, no compound Q, Anthony Fauci, I piss on you.
And I said to myself, if I were in their shoes, I would be doing exactly what they're doing. That's when I invited them in to sit down with us and say, let's start talking. To the point now where they're on all of our advisory committees. They're part of the discussion. So their confrontation to us was based on a good thing. You know, I think back to John Lewis's Good Trouble versus Bad Trouble. They made good trouble. My interaction and my response to them, as I often get asked, is dramatically different than someone on the basis of no evidence accuses you of killing people, or that scene of Marjorie Taylor Greene at the hearing.
Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor.
I mean, come on. That is nothing like what the activists were doing.
You wrote in the book there, and this gets to this point, that you have to function in a world that overlaps politics and science. Is part of this politics as well, just getting the right message out?
And I think overall, you've got to admit, without a doubt, vaccine saves hundreds of thousands of lives, maybe millions in the United States, and multiples of millions globally, no doubt about that. But when you mandate something, given the psyche of the country and the fact that when you tell somebody they need to do something, the way the country is divided now, that you might have a collateral effect, unintended, that would have people push back on getting vaccinated. So that needs to be re-examined now.
You talk about this interesting press briefing that you did. This was in March of 2020, and you had to correct the record even if the president was talking. How challenging is it?
I said to myself, I have a responsibility to preserve my own personal integrity and a responsibility to the American public. So when I walked up to the podium, I said, here it goes. Dr. Fauci, the president just said that hydroxychloroquine is, the end all.
The answer is no, and the evidence that you're talking about, John, is anecdotal evidence.
That was painful to me to have to do that, but there was no doubt that I had to do it. I mean, it wasn't like, well, maybe you shouldn't, maybe you shouldn't. There was no doubt that I had to do it.
Thank you very much.
He thought President Trump would be angry, but listen to what happened behind the scenes.
But then he called me in his office once when he wanted to ask me another question, and he was on looking at 3 different televisions, and he says, my God, these ratings are amazing. They're better than cable, they're better than network. The president, it's no secret. I'm not divulging a secret about the president. He was very, very fixated on image and ratings. And he thought that the amount of attention that was given to the press briefings was really terrific. And his comment was, wow, do you see those ratings? And my feeling was ratings. We're in the middle of a pandemic. What are we talking about ratings?
Nowadays, since stepping back from the NIH, Fauci has been focusing more on family, but has yet to give up on his life's mission of saving lives. He is now a distinguished professor at Georgetown.
When I take life on a daily basis and try and enjoy aspects of life every single day and take really serious relationships, particularly, my relationship with Christine is I just think is something that I value immensely because she really keeps me on the track.
And your grandfather now.
I am.
How's grandfather life?
It's a feeling that people forever have described to me, oh, wait till you become a grandfather. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But you don't really understand what that means until you have this little kid who's the daughter of your daughter, sitting down in your lap, playing with your eyeglasses or with your nose. It's amazing.
Are you ever going to retire?
Sanjay, that's a good question. Right now, I may be 83, but I feel like I'm 55. So to me, I don't see any end to it. But I do know that I think I have enough realism about myself. I mean, the people who throw darts at me, think badly of me, but I'm fundamentally a pretty humble person. And I know and can evaluate my limitations. And I can tell you when I feel I'm not able to leave it all on the court, then I'll walk off the court.
And to hear even more of Sanjay's interview with Dr. Fauci, go listen to Chasing Life wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you so much for Sanjay for that report.